if they look like they followable, and then you follow them, right?
Right, that's real.
See who they follow.
Exactly.
Let me see who they follow.
And if they follow people you know or whatever, that's the trend,
whoever's
right?
popping. Let me see who.
That's what it is. It's almost like, social media, they took the elements of high school, of popularity, and turned it into something that can get people to get people clout. And when you add clout to it and the possibility of being seen, oh my God.
I knew it was bugging when we had MySpace, bro. I keep a G with you. Top 10 friends. Once we had top 10 friends, I knew what it was. You talk about praising individuals.
Can I ask you a question? What about Black Planet?
Say it again.
Black Planet.
I had a Black Panther page too. Actually,
what is that?
The handle.
You don't know Black Planet?
No.
Yo, you too old to not know what Black Planet is.
You don't know Black Planet? Oh, you .com? You don't know Black Planet?
I swear, I'm honest. I'm being serious.
Yeah. So it was like before MySpace. But I guess the point what I'm trying to get at is...
I'm too young. Lee, you
don't put my business out.
I'm sorry.
I'm 14.
I'm in...
Peace, y'all, and welcome back to the Black Guild Podcast, where we talk about land, food, and liberation. Y'all know what's up. Ashley, bring us up.
Being liberated. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Ashley.
Ooh.
And Swag Lee.
I like, hey, look, we might have to, can we record, we might have to record that and put that on the BY mixtape. Hey, so look, we got a special guest here with us today, and I gotta introduce my guy, man. Truthfully, he's a bad mother.
Shut your mouth.
Okay, she's coming in late, like 2 seconds late, but it's all good. No, but this is, we got brother Eric Jackson with us, man, servant director of the Black Guild Podcast, and a man of many responsibilities, hats, and everything else, man. So we're grateful to have you, E. And you want to say anything to the fan?
No, man. I mean, I'm feeling like at this point, I don't think I'm a guest anymore. You know what I'm saying? Y'all mind if I roll with y'all a couple times?
Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, what?
What is she talking about?
I don't know. We ain't doing no boats.
Waves? I don't.
All right.
Okay, all right.
No, it's all
What
good.
we talking about?
That's okay. All right, so look, y'all.
What are we talking about today?
We're going to keep it cool. Keep it cool. So I know y'all excited to hear about what we're talking about today. Today we're going to talk about cooperative economics. I know cooperative economics and collective work within the food struggle. But also, of course, like any other episode, before we do that, we got to start off with a little segment that we like to pop out stuff. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to make it quick and we're going to tell who got the best food joke. It's going to be that simple.
Am I the judge?
But we should let them be the judge. Can y'all be the judge?
I don't think they can answer you, but...
But y'all two are doing the joints. I should be the judge.
I'm going to win.
You the judge. No. Because Ashley thinks she ordered up.
Let me be clear. I'm judging these based on authenticity, connection to like how good it is, like if you can get it, and how funny it is.
All right, so can I ask one question before we start? Can we do this like the NBA dunk contest where if the first one is completely whack, you get a second try?
No, because you already know the truth.
I was talking to the judge.
That's fine.
I was talking. Yeah,
so check this here out. Your mama's so dumb. Or the accent? She put 2 apples in her head, thought she had apple earphones.
Hey, that's great. I'm sorry.
Come on.
So listen, be clear. That was a very good joke, the apple headphones and you know what I mean, all that good stuff. Mine's is simple and straightforward. I want to know, did y'all know that pancakes are just waffles with abs?
What?
I'll take that back. Do y'all know that waffles were just pancakes with abs?
What?
Is that a fail done? All right, cool.
Yeah, that's a fail done.
All right, I got a better one because this is the one I was really going. I just wanted to see how y'all was going to react to that one. This is what I was really going to put on. Why do ants never get sick? Yeah.
They anti-bacterial. I don't know.
No, they're not anti-bacterial.
They are.
Why do ants never get sick? Let's do it.
I don't know.
Because they have antibodies.
That shit was weak.
Because they have antibodies.
That was a good one.
That was good.
Because they have antibodies. Y'all get it like 82 antibodies. All right, yo.
Yeah, that's
hey,
good.
man, I think that's funny.
Man,
so,
let me see.
Yeah, you got to judge us up, bro. Don't leave us out here.
All right. So, I think I had to go with
your girl.
If this is a dump, am I the judge? You about to get disqualified. I think Ashley got that one.
She got what? The Apple headphones?
Yeah, it was.
I heard somebody said them on 35th Street.
You
I think you
lying.
say about antibodies too. I read that on the internet.
I can't believe you just did that on the show.
And I'm gonna actually tell you where I got it
You
from.
gonna pull my internet card or the... All right, let's get into our topic, guys. Look, let's jump into our topic. And man, let's just keep the energy going. Let's jump into our topic. So we're talking about cooperative economics and collective works within food struggles. And I think part of that we had to talk about the idea or the standpoint of collectivism, right? And it just being a way of how we should move when we're trying to build what we build. So even taking it back a little bit, collectivism is a way of the agrarian people, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, but a way of the agrarian people, and agrarian people is a community that prioritizes food suppliers and farmers around the community. So with that being said, you think about a community that is prioritizing food in that way, or prioritizing the farmers, the deliverers of the food. Collectivism becomes one of those cornerstones in what holds that whole system up, right? And for those who don't know, I'll provide a quick definition, but collectivism is the belief system that centers the aims, desires, and needs of the group. And for folks who want it in the different terms, it's no one man above the crew. And folks who want it in another term, it's the people before yourself. So think of it in that way, but yeah, and y'all feel free to chime in. But collectivism, like I said, is one of the major cornerstones, and that's as opposed to an individualistic standpoint, which I think we all have learned and been kind of normalized and kind of fed in this system, capitalism and white supremacy. So we haven't really, or the white supremacy for sure doesn't even afford us the opportunity to kind of operate in a collective way. Everything that white supremacy has touched or is a part of has been built around an individualistic standpoint, if you ask me. Yeah, so let's keep diving.
You mind if I speak in?
No, bro, please jump in.
I think, I think you getting at something with the collectivism, right? And especially, I mean, it's no telling that, on a podcast when we talk about land, food, and liberation, you started out talking about agrarian people, and I think, for sure, indigenous peoples, including Africans, people close to the land, are like, collectivism is a part of our way, in our ways, because it's like a matter of like survival. It's a matter of flowing with nature. You know what I'm saying? In the sense that it is the way that, like, if you think about agriculture, right? And I know we haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, but if you think about agriculture in any way, or if you think about any system, you go and take a hike, or you go walking anywhere. When I was growing up, you had like, I grew up in Cherry Hill in South Baltimore, right here in Baltimore, Maryland, and like we had a lot of green space. And if you spend any time in Cherry Hill, you'll notice that it's a whole ecosystem. You got green space, you got water, and if you pay attention, everything feed off of each other. And in the same way that they feed off each other, if the tree was the shelter for the squirrel, and the squirrel provided food for the fox, and the fox, you know what I'm saying? Like all of these things, you build in the ecosystem. If one thing fall in that system, the whole thing go down.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so, like, I think to your point, I think that's important, and especially where we are, it's not only our way, but in the world that we got in white supremacy, collectivism, that'll be our way as black people, because we not going to win it by being individuals, or so-called individuals. A Rastafari elder, Wayne Rose, who's here in Baltimore and does work with this organization called IDOR, the Universal Development of Rastafari. Universal Development of Rastafari. And he said to me, we don't use the word individual. This was at my earliest journey. He said, we don't use individual because individual means undivided. That's not what we want. We want community. We want collective. And so I stopped using that word.
That's real.
And if people ever pay attention, I never say individual, I say independent member. Right, because if you're talking about a collective, they're independent people in it, right? Because but the collective is a part of it, right? But you're not an individual because you're not dividing out. Absolutely. You just know that you have one part of a whole.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, man, I completely agree, and something now, when you think about collectivism being a part of that, man, it also creates urgency, right? It also creates this understanding of like, we are like, for the lack of better words, we're in this together. It's no like, you know what I mean. You have to operate at 100%, or else you know what I mean, or else we're not at 100%. And it's just that clear. It's kind of like everybody's paddling the boat and one person not paddling. Yeah, we're going, but we're not going. We're not, you know what I mean. We're not going how we should go. It's interesting. And I think it's a good segue into this principle of Ubuntu. And the principle of Ubuntu, born out of Africa, means I am because we are. And it's simply just another way of presenting collectivism, like I said, born out of the African and indigenous folks who are just connected in community in that way. And man, that principle, and I want to lift something up. I know it's a left fielder, but I watched a Netflix series with Doc Rivers, who was Boston's coach at the time, and he talked about at the airport.
I love Coach.
Yeah, man.
You know, be like, yeah.
Yeah, man, he did.
You
notice he always got a nice. His haircut has always been sharp too.
Yeah, his voice too.
Yeah, smooth brother, man.
And he can hoop.
He can. I actually have seen him hoop.
Doc Rivers for real?
Yeah, he was the Boston Celtics coach. Legendary
they won
coach.
Back then, but he also played
with the ball head right here.
Kind of.
No.
All right, so no, it's all good. It's all good, Doc. It's good, Doc.
But yeah,
I'm sorry.
Doc Rivers. Yes, that's who you're talking about.
Right.
He got some children in the league. Austin Rivers. Well, one child in the league, and then got a couple hoopers actually, children. But he played basketball back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Actually, he might have played in the 70s, but he definitely played in the 80s. And I think seriously though, like to that point, like. He's very clear about who he is, a black man. But anyway, I know you was going to talk about
No, man. So really quick, man. There was a series that talks about the pretty much the best advice that coaches can give, or the life rules of coaching. And one of the things that happened is that when Boston got Paul Pierce, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rondo, and they had Kevin Garnett. They had a powerhouse, and one of his biggest fears was like, how do I get these guys to buy in, right? So what happened was him just doing research, trying to figure this out. He was going to the airport and was stopped by a woman who actually told him Ubuntu, right? And inside of that, he's trying to she was trying to like give him a message, but he didn't understand it at that time. He got home, he studied the whole night and did not sleep. The next morning, he took one of his rookie players and taught them what Ubuntu means and gave that to the team, right? And it's interesting because the team bought in immediately. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that happens inside of a team environment, community environment, whatever it is. But they bought into the principle immediately because it was almost, there's like, everybody wins here, right? There's like, you talk about collectivism, this is the epitome of that. However, down the line, they had some tragic stuff going on in the game. And it's just interesting how everybody showed up for each other. And I think when you normalize a principle like that, right? When you embed that inside your community, it's no, like, there's not a hole that, there's not a hole that doesn't get filled, if that makes sense. It's almost like, if you detach one thing, the circle just closes in tighter. Right. That makes sense.
But we don't have that in the community. It's like, for like example, like the Creole. It's just the Creole, and we all eat there. But if they leave, like it doesn't matter.
True. That's true. I think, but I think we should actually. I think that I think part of that is figuring out how do we get that in the community though. Because I think that's one of the hurdles that we got to get over. But like we talked about earlier, man, white supremacy that's one of the effects of it. To put folks in an individualistic standpoint. And I want y'all to push back on this if y'all think I'm tripping, but I also feel like, man, that we operate from these individualistic standpoints until we get to a place where we feel like we are settled or comfortable as an individual, and then we kind of roll back in community. And when I say we, I mean people at large. I don't mean just in our community, I mean just people at large. But I feel like it's almost like you have to win the game first before you can be completely a part of, like, there's a community that you're not in that you're trying to get to. You understand what I'm saying? And I mean, it's clear because how we're separated by class.
Like me sitting right here not knowing what the hell. But yeah, and I want y'all to feel free to lift up or push back on anything I said about the Ubuntu piece.
No, I like it. And I was gonna say, like, I was smiling as you were talking because people don't know who are listening. I imagine folks are new to BYI, so you will be new to me and new to us. Me and Ashley spent some time together in high school. She a young buck, so when I was a senior, she was a freshman, and she played basketball. She wouldn't tell y'all that, but
Who
she
played basketball?
So I'm sure she knows something about Ubuntu.
I was nice.
What position you played?
Shooting guard. And all I did, I never dribbled. I just shot
literally
threes.
Could shoot, legit.
That's it.
I ain't mad at you.
She could shoot though.
I ain't mad at you. All right.
Her head was bigger back then, but Ubuntu. They hate like Ubuntu, but Ubuntu. I think the principle of Ubuntu though, like, but even with that though, on some real stuff, I think that for me, I always, and anytime I come on the show, I'm gonna bring it up and everybody should be ready for it. So don't get mad because I keep talking about it. I don't care if you listen from somewhere else. I'm from Cherry Hill. It just so happened to be in Baltimore.
Rich.
Right? So I'm saying it to say, Ashley, I don't know about you, but I feel like I grew up under the spirit of Ubuntu, people being together in community when we were growing up. I don't know about you, but I had that feeling. You know what I'm saying?
We all, every like all of our friends' mothers, like they were our mothers. Like we all were a community. Like absolutely. It's just, I mean, we fought each other, but at the end of the day,
that's
like
community, though.
It was all us.
That's community,
Right.
That's community. There's going to be small fights inside the community as well that you got to, learn to.
And you find your own ways to deal with it too, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, for me at least, I feel that the principle of Ubuntu and the idea of collectivism is an African way, right? Again, and I talk about Cherry Hill all day long. You can look at it as a case study, whatever. But for me, when I study, because like, low key, and I ain't even low key, it's high key. I'm a nerd. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, I love learning, and especially in this point in my life, I love learning about us as African people. And I learned about this community in Colombia.
Okay.
And in Colombia, there's a community called oh man, I can't think about what the community is called, but Basilio. I can't remember what it's called, but it's from this documentary called For Humanity, Culture, and Maroonage or something like that. And they talk about maroon communities. And when I learned about this particular Quilombo or maroon society in Colombia, I swear I saw principles in that community of what we dealt with in Cherry Hill. They had a circle of elders. Tell me you don't have the people like Miss Betty, Mama Cleo, the people who you know from when you were a kid. Like you know these people, Miss Loretta Johnson, like the different people who passed on, who you like. They are staple members of the community. If something happened, you go to them. If you the housing authority try to put you out of the projects, you go to them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You had these elements. You got elements where they said something, and I never forget it. I know you'll attest to this, Ash. And I mean, I'm sure Lee too, but we grew up in a community where people usually stayed in the community. Right. But they said something in the documentary where they were like, people know you, or know you through your ancestors. They can look in your eyes and say, you so-and-so boy, or you so-and-so daughter, or you so-and-so granddaughter. Yeah. And like for me, I grew up, Ashley, I'm sure you did too, because we ain't that, she tried to act like she ain't as old as I am. But we only a couple years apart.
By like 8 years.
Take away 5, but anyway, I'm about to tell y'all really how old she is. She really my age. She failed 3 times, but
what grade was?
It's like no, she failed in kindergarten.
I played basketball, so I never failed.
She failed in kindergarten. She failed, but she passed gym, lunch, and after school. They the only classes she passed. She passed at home. It's like.
Man, I never even went to math, but go ahead.
That's funny. One plus one. It's like, no, but in the true sense, though, really, man, like, we grew up in a community where, like, you could see that. You could look in somebody's eyes today and be like, I know your child. Like, I mean, I know your parents.
He was like, and I'm like, oh, you something doing. And I'm like, that was 20 years ago. I don't look the same.
Right. That's how it be though. But so I think that when we talk about collectivism, right, and we talk about how black people are historically and how we have to be now, it's my opinion that we must, if we're gonna build a movement that's gonna secure land and secure food, we're gonna have to revive this idea of collectivism. Absolutely. Because I think you're right, Ashley. You said something that was spot on. I do think that there are largely individualism is the way. Largely collectivism is not the way, but there are pockets of it. You see people still working together. You still see people sharing. You still see people working together. So I feel like we gotta hold on to that. You know what I'm saying? And not forget that, because maybe it's only happening at 10%, but 10% you can build from. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I only think the 90%, if the 90% represents individualism, it happened because everybody watching reality TV, and that's not what people talk about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's my thought.
Yeah, man. So I think, like you said, I think the narrative is almost like forced for us to think in that way. So I was sitting over here pondering, actually thinking about what you talked about with the carry out, right? Mm-hmm. And you think about how you can make the crowd make a shift, right? And I don't think it's like any real math to it. I think it's just an understanding. I think it's just being realistic about what collectivism does, because like Eric said, there already are pockets, right? It's already happening. There's several examples you can think about it happening. We celebrate it in our Kwanzaa. You can see it across the world. You see it in all these different susu models of cooperative food, and it's just interesting that like it's happening, right? And I think for us, we've been torn away from a lot of our culture. Like folks can say, look at you and see, you know what I mean, you're your grandmother's grandson. Mm-hmm. It's the same way about our morals, the same thing about our values. The same thing, because they're the same people who will tell you, you know your grandmother ain't raised you like that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know you don't come from that, right? They're the same people who will tell you that, right? But I said to say is I think it's an understanding, because it's almost like what we talked about on another one of the episodes where it's almost like not knowing you got an option. Because if you can understand the clarity of what the carryout is doing to y'all, and then you operate under that collectivism view where it's like, yo, I gotta do better because it's for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like if I eat bad, I'm not just gonna die. You know what I mean? I need to focus on everybody and put myself as a part of the community. And not
if that's put in perspective.
If that's put in perspective. But I think the work
by
is
people who lead.
Yeah.
Only by people who lead.
And it's definitely gonna be that 10% that like, you know what I mean, has to kind of like break the ice and kick the door. And it's always that. But I always think there's a curve or a tide. It's just a matter of how do you make the curve or the tide.
So to that point, right? And I think you're right. Actually, I think to be honest. So I was listening to a TED Talk one time, right? Uh-huh. Y'all like TED Talk?
I like TED Talk.
I do.
You like them?
I like TED Talk. And I like the little filter they got for TED Talk right now.
So I mean, they got this new thing called EJ Talks.
That must come on 106.1.
But no, like I was watching this TED Talk, right? And the person would say that the concept, when you think about movement, and not just like social movements, but think about how new trends happen, the most important person ain't the person who starts. It's the person who follows the first person who starts. Because that's what give other people the momentum builds from like, that person crazy enough, so they showed this example, right? I think about like, so Ashley would do something like this. So like the person they on like a beach and they start dancing. And then other people looking around like, yo, tripping. Then the other person get up there with them and start dancing. And then everybody. It wasn't because of the first person. It was the second person who was like, I'll do it too, right? And so I think
she doesn't care. Let me do it.
Exactly. Right. You would do something like that, wouldn't you?
I definitely would.
But yeah, I think that's what it's like, right? And I think reviving those ideas and reviving that ancient principle, in my opinion, I think has to be like that. Like it's got to be people who like, yo, this feel good. Yo, let me do it. And then somebody else do it. And then you start to build it. And then they have what you call spontaneous occurrences where the people who originally started it, they not morphing it. It's like a virus, yo. And I know it might be sensitive right now to talk about COVID-19. I mean, because it's COVID-19, but how viruses are like pervasive. They move and they even morph. They evolve in so much that viruses are like a biological gingerbread man. You know what I'm saying? Catch me if you can. And it's not something that you can do once it morphs to another one, because then you like, yeah, we got you now. He's like, no you don't. You know what I'm saying? Keep it going, right? So like that's kind of how movement's got to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I would take that even in being in this space. You know how you've created all of this and then invited me here, and it don't only take for one person to see me, not even knowing. Still, you don't always say I don't know what to talk about sometimes. I do sometimes a little bit, but it only takes for one person to see me, like, oh, let me come around. I have so many people, what's up with that black BY?
That's how it works.
And I'm looking at my head like,
that's how it works.
I don't even know. It's like I'm gonna stop saying it. But that's all it takes is for that one person. It's you, and then it's me. It's like, oh, I see her. Let's let's hop on board. But it's just
well, shit. I mean, social media show that, right? I mean, isn't that how followers happen? The only thing you gotta do is tag a person. They go and look if they look like they followable, and then you follow them, right?
Right,
that's
real.
How
see who they follow. Exactly. Let me see who they follow.
And if they follow people you know or whatever, that's the trend,
whoever's popping. Let me see who.
That's what it is. It's almost like, yo, social media. They took the elements of high school, of popularity, and turned it into something that can get people to get people clout. And when you add clout to it and the possibility of being seen, oh my God!
I knew it was bugging when we had MySpace, bro. I keep a G with you.
Bro,
top 10 friends. Once we had top 10 friends, I knew what it was. You talk about praising individuals.
Can I ask you a question? What about Black Panther?
Say it again.
Black Planet.
I had a Black Panther page too. Actually,
What is that?
The handle.
You don't know Black Planet?
No.
Yo, you too old to not know what Black Planet
You don't
is.
know Black Planet?
Planet?
Oh, you .com? You don't know Black Planet?
I swear I'm honest. I'm being serious.
So it was like before MySpace.
You
But I
probably
guess
too
the
young,
point,
though. You probably
the
too
point what I'm trying to get at is.
I'm too young. Lee, you
Don't put my business out.
I'm sorry.
Oh, 14.